All right, so we're joined from Huntsville, Alabama, by Lenora Likely, the president of Black Women in Cybersecurity there in Huntsville, and a cybersecurity engineer. We are in the Information Technology Career Cluster, and we've got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. And we are recording this for our friends at Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to let the kids know about a little bit about cyber and what it is that I do in our mission with Black women in cybersecurity.
Yeah, and it's there's actually been a congressional initiative on that to really diversify the field. But before we get into all that, you are a proud HBCU grad of Alabama State University, and we'll let you make it down here in Jackson State territory as a Hornet. But it is a great HBCU there in Montgomery. Yeah, I know you're in Huntsville now, but just talk about your college background and your education to lead to where you are now as a cybersecurity engineer.
Absolutely. Well, the ASU, Alabama State University, is more than happy to bring some love to Jackson, Mississippi, and show the love around. So I started out at Alabama State in 2000. I went there to major in computers. So I did a bachelor's degree in computers information systems. Um, Finished with honors from there, and then later on, probably 2 years after that, I went and got my master's in human resource management
Wow.
at Troy University. So I did the computer thing because I thought I wanted to be a human resource information systems specialist to combine the two areas that I love, person relationship with human resources and still having the influence on many systems within the IT environment. However, cybersecurity put me in. I started off at a help desk for the Air Force, and I moved around and was able to get onto the cyber team with the Air Force.
Wow.
And ever since then, it's been a wonderful experience. And I like to tell people my story because they ask, why did I establish Black women in cybersecurity? And one is because of the representation. We're in the field, but it's not as many in the field. And we want young girls within the community to know that, hey, this is a field that's thriving and very where you could belong as well. So I was brought into cyber by another Black lady. So it only made sense for me to say, hey, let's do something that we can influence our environment, take what we've learned through our educational experiences, and influence our community with. And that's how Black women in cybersecurity has formed. And I've been in the industry of cyber for the last 15 years.
Wow, and I'm sure it's changed a lot. And you made two really good points there that I wanted to reiterate. One is you talked about you wanted to get into HR information systems, but I think it's important for everybody to realize that literally every field has to have technology professionals.
Absolutely.
Even more so now today than ever before. And and a big growing field is in healthcare IT. With all these new healthcare software, the IT people in a hospital are just as important as the doctors and nurses, in my opinion, at this point. And then with cybersecurity, look at banking. We have another friend of the class that speaks who runs the server for the Mississippi Department of Revenue. He has no background in finance. He's not a finance person, but the finance group has him running their server to fight off hackers and to protect a $7 billion account. And then especially in banks with protection. And you mentioned the Air Force, because right now, for people to get into tech, I believe the Air Force might be the most the quickest route to get into it. If you're not a college person, you say, I don't want to go to college. I'd rather do something else, but I still want to get into tech. The Air Force is where it's at right now, in my opinion, because you're getting state of the art technology training. And as you know,
Mm-hmm.
being a civilian employee with the Air Force, they're dealing with technology that we don't even see in a regular market.
Absolutely. I do. When I have these sessions, I want you guys to know that cybersecurity impacts everything. It's not limited to just a technology world, and it's not just hacking. There are so many scopes of cyber that people should be aware of it when it comes to financing, when it comes to accounting, HR, healthcare. It's a major impact to all of those areas because everything is run on systems.
Yep.
And every system has to be protected. And I advise people, keep in mind that even at a elementary level, you're still impacted by cyber issues. And we focus on internet safety, social media safety, who should have access to your accounts, what you should be posting, because we're in a era where we overshare life. And it's gonna happen, but how do you protect yourself from it? So my goal is to definitely share our experiences, our knowledge of cybersecurity throughout various age groups, and let everyone know that if you want to go in accounting, you can go into accounting, but please be aware of that there's cyber information that you would need in that as well. And like you were stating, everything has to be protected. And that's the whole point of cyber. And not only are we protecting it, but we have to go in and pretend to wear the bad hat and try different things to see if we could penetrate the system. How vulnerable is your system? So I tell people when they say, hey, I want to go into cyber, I want to get into cyber. And I'm like, okay, so what is it that you want to do in cyber? Because it's like saying, hey, I want to be a doctor. Well, what type of doctor you want to be? And it's all about knowing what's available within the cybersecurity scope.
Yeah, and I was just thinking when I was driving to school this morning, like literally every company has to have somebody in IT. They're either using a freelance or they're using IT employees. Even here in the school system, we have a
Yes,
large IT team because of everything run on. We actually have apps that we have as teachers, and we have different software programs. So we have to have IT professionals if that stuff doesn't work. You
yep,
know, as much as we depend on apps for everything we do now, you have to have IT people that have developed those and have to run those if there's any glitches. Um, and one thing also about IT, and I'm sure you know this, you know, people can go the traditional college route, which again,
yes.
if that fits for you, by all means, you need to do it. But
Mhm.
also, when I was mentioning earlier, our friend, that's the manager with the Department of Revenue, he said himself that he hires 19-year-olds with the certification he needs right out of a junior college. So this is one of the few fields where you don't necessarily need a
Have to
4-year
have a
degree.
4-year degree.
And again, we aren't discouraging people from going to college, but if you know you're a person that says, I don't want to spend 4 years, I want to start working. And I know Alabama does a pretty good job too, but in Mississippi, we have community colleges where you can get a 1-year certification and you are qualified to work in several IT fields, including cybersecurity.
Absolutely. The industry have changed so much and cybersecurity has taken off so fast. So there's not a way to say, hey, we could fully, as you know, there's a shortage of cybersecurity workers. But let's be honest, we can't fulfill that by requiring everyone to go to school for 4 years.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense. But how can we manage that this high trend of an industry and get qualified candidates? You teach them the solid basis of knowing how to come in and start at those entry level positions. So, as you stated, absolutely, trade school, 2-year school, 18-month courses to get certified is a definitely great way to get into the field. And you get those certifications, that's an open door for you. So I will let you know that I started off with the Security Plus by CompTIA. Then later on, I got a certified ethical hacker. And I've used those two certifications to progress to where I am right now.
Wow.
And I advise anybody that's looking into cybersecurity is that a lot of people like may not have the time to go to school.
Yeah.
YouTube is full of information, would definitely prepare you for the Security Plus and the newest one, which is the CYSA, to get into cyber. Those are great ones. But if you're having trouble with understand the cyber aspects, start off with your A+ certification. That breaks down the whole computer, get you a solid foundation on how the computer works, so that you will know how cybersecurity is implemented into an IT environment.
Yeah, and with technology advancing, more and more programs are going to be coming up. So these companies are going to need people that have been trained on that.
Yes.
Because, and I'm sure, me and you're about the same age. It's changed a lot even since we came out through, even since we went through college. So you are looking at, I can think of 7 or 8 major advancements just off the top of my head in the last 15 years. So it's something,
Yes.
it's not going to just be stagnant and staying the same all the time.
It's definitely not. In which, when we were in school, they discussed IT will always change, but we didn't realize, I know I didn't realize how quickly it changes. Cyber changes daily, and software is always introduced. And I tell people, if you have a mind to program, that is a great field, because who's checking all this software and these apps that are being built that may have all these vulnerabilities that may impact us, because we're, hey, app user friendly, like anything to make our life simpler, we want to download it, we want to use it. But who's checking it? Yes, it's nice to be used, but if we are not making sure that software doesn't have any vulnerabilities, we get impacted major time. So just seeing how it has grown. We went from information systems or information services and just hardening the system, making sure we have virus protection on there. Now we're doing a step forward. We're protecting the software, the hardware, and so forth, and hardening it in even more under the cybersecurity aspect.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have data and you have
Yep.
millions and millions and millions of dollars that has to be protected. So a company will pay good money for a good cybersecurity pro because like we said, if everything is stored in a digital database and it crashes, you're looking at a catastrophic event. And the joke I always have with, again, my friend at the Department of Revenue, I said, well, what happens if your server goes down? And his exact quote was, it can't go down. So you're looking at
Correct.
extremely important job, and it could be, in a lot of cases, an extremely lucrative job. And again, like
Yes.
I said, it doesn't even require a 4-year degree. And we mentioned the Air Force, and I like to mention that because, and I'm glad you have experience there. We have a recent graduate here at Velma
Okay.
who went to the Air Force, and I think he said 7 IT certifications, and he's getting a lot of IT experience, and now he's going to stay in a little while because he loves it. But he's gotten to live in
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, he's gotten to live in Japan and Guam, and now he's in Oklahoma. But when he gets out of the Air Force, he'll be looking at a 6-figure career and has not spent a dime to go to college.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that I do admire about the Air Force, the time that I was there, is to see how their training program within that industry, well, within that job category, flowed out. Like they AIT train, I believe that's what it's called. If you place within the cybersecurity field, they do a real good job. Now, that's not to dismiss what any other military branch is doing, because everyone is doing very well because we're still being protected. Um, but it's just when you have personal interaction with someone who's experienced it, it's like, wow, this is a great course, a great program to go through. I've had a coworker that did a program under the Army too, and it's so well developed, preparing our soldiers to protect us in a different manner that doesn't include war fighting. They find it on the cyber side. So
Absolutely.
I definitely admire that.
Now, before I get into students' questions, we got to
Mhm.
talk about we have to talk about your group there in Huntsville, the Black Women in Cybersecurity. You're doing a lot in the schools in the North Alabama area. So tell us about some of the things you've done. You're going to schools and teaching kids how to build web pages at 12 years old. So it's really cool what all you're
So
doing. So talk about
we
what all it's really interesting.
we just wrapped up our web design phase. We work with a group called Girls Inc. of Huntsville that has girls in the 8th and the 9th grade. We did a 3-month session on building a website which is their focus is STEM development. So they get experience with different areas within the field. And one of the things that we decided to do with them, because we do believe it's a skill that you can utilize and benefit from. As you grow older, you could post your resumes out there, a quick summary for yourself. You could build your own business just by having a base foundation. So we work with the girls and we built a website using wits.com, which is an open source tool that they can use to say, hey, we could go out here and I have some familiarity with it. And also with Girls Inc., we've also went in there and we played Guess the Password, which is a hack challenge with the kindergartens through the 7th graders. And that was really fun. We built airplanes with the kindergartens through 4th graders, though.
Wow.
And it's all about saying, here's your experience. You know, we're not in here to just build the airplanes, but look what it takes to build it, to make it fly. Still introducing them to STEM on a smaller aspect of understanding aerodynamics, right? But BWIC has really, we've been active for 3 years now, and we have had the pleasure of working with Girls Inc. and the Girls and Boys Club, and just giving them the opportunity to understand cyber and how it impacts them at their level has been our greatest rewarding experience.
Yeah, and in a place like Huntsville, where NASA has such a big presence, you know, for anybody looking to get into any type of space IT, you know, Huntsville is where it's at, and it's not that far away from us. It's a great city, really fast growing area in technology.
It sure is. So I've been here for 9 years now, and it's on a rocket. Like that's the symbol for the city, and really the growth within IT and aerospace have truly grown enormously, and it is steadily growing. So I just tell people you can't go wrong with IT. It's like being a doctor, or being in the healthcare field. You can't go wrong with healthcare. You can't go wrong with teaching, and you definitely can't go wrong with IT.
Absolutely. Like we said, it really does touch every field. But I got some questions from the students to get to as many of these as
Sure.
I can. This is Amari Williams. He's in 9th grade, and he asked, "What is the process to recover from a data leak?"
So if you're gonna talk about on a large scale data leak, then you have to make sure that you have done your risk management assessment and making sure that you have recovery in place. That's any backups, but also you have to inform your customers, your patients, and so forth. What has been leaked? You are federally regulated to report any of that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I think one thing that is missed on so many young people, no matter if they're watching with me now or they're watching later, is that they don't have that customer service face-to-face interaction. And these kids want to get so mad at me when I make them talk in front of the class, and it's not to be mean, and I don't even, you know, I don't even grade their ability, but it's just a matter of being comfortable speaking to people, because if you're an IT pro, you have to talk to people that are not IT pros and make them able to understand it. Because like you said,
Understand.
it is extremely important for them to understand what has been leaked and what you're doing to fix the problem.
Correct. Absolutely. And and that in itself, managing data protection is another part of cybersecurity on a different area.
Absolutely. This is Gabriel G. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "What are some of the toughest challenges you faced as a cybersecurity professional?"
The toughest changes I would have to say is staying on top of the changing environment. What's happened?
Yep.
It's a new threat every day. And being prepared for that. But you find a way to meet your challenges, and even though it's rapidly changing, you find ways of adapting and being able to produce what you need to in the field.
Yeah, I just have two more from the students. This is
No
Rashawn.
problem.
She's in 9th grade. And she asked, why do you think more Black women have not gotten into cybersecurity until now?
I think it's all about what we see. We don't we don't see Black women in cybersecurity or hear Black women talking about cybersecurity. I think that's a topic that is missed with high school career days and career options. What we do see a lot of is our nurses, our teachers, our fashion designers. So until we could get to the point where we're out there and saying, hey, we are cyber, that will pull more people in.
Yeah, and
We
no, I was going to say I'm a big believer that any field needs to represent the population it serves, no matter
Mhm.
what the field is. So, I think that's what your group and your field is doing to try to change that as much as possible.
Absolutely. We have, so it's 5 women that's a part of the group. And we even go out to, like you said, I'm in Huntsville, so we go to the HBCU here, Alabama A&M, and we've spoken to the students there as well to say, hey, this is possible. And it's nice to be in the presence of people who look like us and they have the same interests, and we feed into that.
Absolutely, and I know UAH is also a huge school there in Huntsville, so you got
Absolutely.
a big target audience right there in the city.
Yes, both schools produce a great amount of solid workers here.
That's awesome. I've got one more. This is Rashawn Smith. He's in 10th grade. And he asked, does cybersecurity ever get boring? And what are the flaws that you may face working in the field?
Right. So I'm biased because it never gets boring to me. I love cyber. I love the challenge of it. Um, and I work with one system, and it gives me a a great feeling of being able to find an issue and resolve that issue. The whole troubleshooting aspect of it makes me happy. So
Wow.
I will let you know, I started off as a certified network analyst. What is that? I get to monitor your internet activity to see what you're doing. On the legal aspect, everyone, I'm just not out there looking at what people are doing. That was a legit job. And it was like being a detective or police of the network. I'm making sure that that network is safe, um, and that even the users aren't doing any malicious activity to harm that company.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where my love from it came. And now that it has evolved so much more since I've started, it's the excitement of fixing, having a challenge and fixing it.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so
Okay.
much for taking some time for us today. But before we go, first of all, tell us where to find Black women in cybersecurity on social media, because y'all are doing some great things, and it's really cool to see.
You can find us, Black Women in Cybersecurity, on Facebook at Black Women in Cybersecurity. We have a group as well as a page. We're also on Instagram up on the Black Women in Cybersecurity of Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, and I follow both, and it's a great follow.
Thank you.
But before we go, tell these kids why does IT and cybersecurity need them? Because like we said, it's not going away.
We need your geniuses. Um, One, because you are, like everyone say, you are our future. And things are going to evolve, and your aspect on how to meet those challenges are going to be very important. And we also need you to come in because we want you to show others like us, or female or male, that we're welcome in this field. This field is growing and it could be very profitable for you. So yes, we look forward to the future.
Well, I can't agree more. Thank you so much. Lenora Likely, all the way from Huntsville, Alabama, Black
Thank
Women in
you.
Cybersecurity. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Go Hornets.
All right, talk to you later, my friend.
Goodbye.